Here we're going to talk about simple interest. If you look on the formula sheet that you'll be given for the GED test, you'll see the formula for simple interest is on that sheet. And it's written as I equals PRT. And so what this stands for is I stands for interest. P stands for principal. Now, remember when you have three variables written right next to each other, or any variables written right next to each other, that implies multiplication. So when it says PRT, it really means P times R times T. So here it's principal times R stands for rate times T stands for time. Now, interest is this extra money that you're either going to earn or extra money you're going to pay for, depending on whether you're investing money or you're borrowing money. For example, when you charge something on your credit card, it's like you're borrowing money, and so the credit card has an interest rate, and so you end up paying more than what you actually purchased that item for because of the interest that you have to pay. Similarly, if you invest money, so you put money in the bank and it's earning interest, you're going to have more money at the end than what you originally invested. And so that's what the interest is. Principal is that original amount of money that you either borrowed or invested. So we'll just write original amount. That's what the principal is. The rate is that interest rate. It's the rate that you are earning. And so in the GED test, most often this rate is going to be the annual rate. And this is usually going to be written as a percentage. So the percentage part of these problems is this rate. Because it's most often written as an annual rate, time needs to be in years in order for this formula to work. And you'll see that here in a second. Okay, I'm going to take a pause. I'm going to write an example problem up on the board. All right, so here's an example problem. You get $500 for your birthday. You put it in a savings account that earns 2.7% annually. How much interest will you earn in 18 months? Okay, and so what are we looking for? We're looking for interest. We're looking for I. So we just look at the formula, pull out your formula sheet, look at the formula, we're looking for interest, so I equals, and we just plug the numbers in. I equals P, principal, which means our original amount that we either borrowed or invested. What's our original amount? $500. So we invested $500. That's P, times our rate, and here they're giving our rate is 2.7%. Remember, the rate is usually going to be this percentage that's in the problem. So it's 2.7%, but we can't multiply percentages. We have to multiply decimal numbers. And so we need to change 2.7% to a real number. And so if you don't know how to do that, you need to watch the video on percentages on how to do that. But essentially, all you do to change this into a decimal is you take the decimal point and you move it to the left 2 places. And so we add a 0 here and a 0 here. So 2.7% can be written as 0.027. That's the decimal number that we can multiply. Again, if you don't know how to do this, please watch the video on percents. Okay, so our rate is 2.7%. We've changed that to a decimal, so it's 0.027 times T times time. But remember, time has to be in years. And here, they've given us months. This is one way that they're going to try and get you. Make sure that you change this to years before you put it into the formula. So 18 months. How many years is 18 months? Well, there's 12 months in 1 year. So to convert months to years, all you do is divide it by 12. So 18 divided by 12, if you don't know how to do that, put it in your calculator, 1.5 years. All right, so whenever you're given months, just divide it by 12, and that's going to give you how many years you have. So 18 divided by 12, 1.5. So that's what our time is, because we need it in years. Here they've given us an annual rate, which means a yearly rate. So we need our time to be in years. So interest equals 500 times 0.027 times 1.5. You stick that into your calculator, and you're going to get 20.25. And we're dealing with money, so it's $20.25. That's how much interest you will have earned in 18 months. Now, if they ask you how much is in your bank account at the end of that 18 months, then you have your interest, but you also have your original 500. So your total amount, and that's not what this question is asking, but I'm just saying if they would ask you that, would be 500 plus your interest. So it'd be 500 plus 20.25. So the total amount of money you have at the end is $520.25, but the interest that you've earned is $20.25. I'm going to take a pause and put another question up. Okay, so we have a new problem up that's going to involve a little bit of algebra here. But here's the problem. You invest $3,000 for 24 months. After those 24 months, you've earned $90 in interest. So the question is, what was the annual interest rate? So here, again, we just find the formula, plug in the numbers. Here, we know the interest. They're telling us $90 is interest. So $90 is I. I equals, so just follow the formula. P, principal, the original amount. So we originally invested $3,000. Rate. Now, that's what they're asking us. We don't know what the rate is. That's what we have to figure out. So we're going to leave that as a variable. Times time. They've told us 24 months. But again, they're looking for the annual interest rate, so time has to be in years. So how many years is 24 months? Remember, just 24 divided by 12, which is 2. So our time is 2. So now we have 90 equals 3,000 times r times 2. We have to solve for r, an algebra problem. So the first thing we're going to do is, we can multiply the 2 and the 3,000 together. So let's do that. 90 equals 6,000 r. Remember, when you write two things together with a variable, it just means multiplication. So that means 6,000 times r. Now, what times 6,000 will give you 90? Well, in algebra, in order to solve for r, we're going to divide each side by 6,000 because we want to get rid of that 6,000. And you can watch the algebra video posted on Facebook if you don't know how to do this. But intuitively, we just say what times r will give us this number. Well, we're going to divide by 6,000 on each side. So 90 divided by 6,000 equals 6,000 divided by 6,000 times r. 6,000 divided by 6,000 is just 1, so that's how we're just left with r. 90 divided by 6,000, you put that into your calculator, and you get 0.015 equals R. Okay? Now remember, though, they're probably, and you'd have to look at the problem, but they're probably looking for a percentage. This is not the percentage, this is your decimal number, so we need to change this to a percentage. And if you don't know how to do that, watch the video on percentages. But essentially, now, to take your decimal to a percentage, you move the decimal point to the right 2 spots. So 0.015 is really 1.5%. And again, if you don't know how to do that, watch the video. So these are 2 types of problems that you might get with this simple interest formula.